Welcome to the Change Agent, sponsored by Beyond the Glare and Kalina Vision Professional Services, where we dive into real-world challenges and strategies of leadership, team management, leading remote teams, project management, being an empathetic leader, technology, and more. So whether you're leading a new team or you're just trying to energize an existing one, we've got the insights, tips, and stories you need to help you succeed as a leader and inject value fast into your organization. So let's get started. Welcome back and welcome to episode 5. I'm Eric, and today we are diving into the deep end, resolving team dysfunction, looking at some of the challenges and how we can address them. So maybe you've been assigned as a new manager of an existing team that has some issues, or maybe you're all new to the project and you've got to get past that storming phase and Tuckman stages of team development. We'll talk about that soon. But first, if you've got team issues and conflict you're looking to get resolved, stay with me for the rest of this podcast so we can get those obstacles removed and you can get busy doing what you do best, generating value to your organization and to your customer. Before we can solve a problem, we need to understand it. Team dysfunction doesn't just happen. It usually stems from a few key issues. A couple of those might be lack of trust. When team members don't trust each other, they hold back ideas, they hesitate to ask for help, they work in a siloed environment, there's no communication, not good. There's poor communication, I just mentioned that. Misunderstandings and assumptions can lead to that. People take it the wrong way, they get confused about what they said. There are missed deadlines, and there are some frustration that goes along with that, and that's a problem. There are unclear roles and expectation, and when people don't know what's expected of them, they either hesitate to act or they step on each other's toes because they don't know what direction to go. This is a common problem when you have more than one team on your project and they're all trying to kind of accomplish the same parts of the whole piece. They can start stepping on toes. For example, if developers start testing their own code. Avoiding conflict. Disagreements are normal, but avoiding them, these tough conversations, can lead to resentment and unresolved ideas because you can assume what people meant by something. You can assume by what people did. You can assume what they meant by the way they looked or their body language. That avoiding the conflict is not the way. You got to address it head on. And low accountability. If no one takes ownership for the things that they've got, tasks get dropped, deadlines begin to slip, and frustration starts to build. Needless to say, you're interjecting execution risk into your project, creating a probability that you may deliver something inerrant, or you may completely miss the deliverable at all. Now, in the past, we've spoken about many of these issues in other episodes, so go back and revisit those if you need to. But for now, I want to explore with you some solutions to resolve this dysfunctional team problem. Now, we know that what causes dysfunction. We just talked about some of those points there, but let's talk about some of the solutions. So while there are many ways to help resolve team problems, there are 5 practical strategies I like to use. First is building trust with transparency. Trust is built through being consistent and being honest. And regular check-ins, clear expectations, and follow-through on all of those are key. Improving communication. Use structured meetings. Now, if you caught me on my last podcast on episode 4, I said not the unnecessary ones. Collaborative tools like Slack and Microsoft Teams, we talked about that. And active listening techniques, encouraging open dialogue amongst the team members. Make sure you clarify roles and responsibilities. Define each team's member role clearly. I use RACI charts. I love them. I have one that I move around. It's a living document. And these can really help eliminate confusion. And it also is a really good artifact to have when your customer wants to know who's doing what. Encourage healthy conflict. Now, you got to have a safe space in your team for your team to be able to disagree respectfully. You have to have oversight for that because these can start to generate ideas. They can start to create compassion for other people's ideas, having empathy amongst the team members, and they address issues early before they escalate because many times, as I've said before, individuals who don't want to contribute to a conversation, maybe they're quiet, they don't want to engage conflict, will when other people begin to talk about it. So they'll say, well, I also agree with that, or I also have another idea. And you start to uncover these archaeological things that are hiding, and you're sweeping that sand away from the problems. And lastly, fostering accountability. Use performance tracking of some sort. Generally, managers will do this in corporations, maybe even in your smaller businesses, with performance reviews, where the managers will create a journal of performance of how things are going. They do quarterly or 6-month check-ins, and they have set clear, set achievable goals, that SMART model, or KPIs, and they celebrate individual and team achievements when they've accomplished stuff. Regular one-on-one checks also help people. We talked about that as well in episode 4, motivating remote teams. But these help keep people accountable. And so if you've listened to other podcasts in the past, you've heard just about all of these in one way or another. And that's because they are so, so important. So I want to share a quick story with you. I love stories. I want to share a quick story on a team issue that I had and how I resolved it. So I was managing a large multi-million-dollar IT project for hardware and software delivery. And we had a test engineer that was responsible for supporting the development and implementation of functional testing procedures, generating test results, reporting, quality, and all the stuff that goes with it. However, one time, the lead test engineer discovered that the test engineer himself was masking results, improperly reporting test validation and verification, and reporting incorrect states of the software's functional capability. This malpractice escaped, which led to other testers and the test lead to having to pick up the slack, and it really created an issue among the team and my deputy. So as the PM, I listened intently on the issue from the test lead and others, and I asked for any evidence. I reviewed it. I made the determination that, yes, I agreed the tester was not performing as expected, and I supported the test lead and the team in developing a framework of conversation that centered on the 5 points I just talked about earlier: setting clear expectations, clarifying roles, responsibilities, addressing an issue before it escalated, and fostering accountability in this individual. Now, on the surface, it all seemed to have worked. Now, sadly, the test engineer had other plans in the hopper, and we found out that the real issue was not that he was not interested in testing. It was the fact that he just wanted a career move. He wasn't engaging, and his motivation had dissipated, so he had already basically checked out. But this approach to the issue enabled me and the team to quickly shift testing operations from him to other people on the team until we hired someone. But most importantly, we were lucky to have discovered this issue in time before those errors and the lack of quality in the performance testing checks and all that stuff existed in future deliverables that were given to the customer. So, again, engagement and making sure that we're trying to engage the team and address those conflicts as soon as possible may uncover something you didn't see. So based on that, what can we do today to address a functional problem? First, we assess the team's challenges. We can have scrum meetings or daily stand-ups or whatever. We can just have conversations in the hallway, but identify those dysfunctions that are holding your team back. Talk to people, figure out what's going on, do the polling like we talked about in Slack, maybe simple polls, having what they call skip level meetings, where you go up down to one of your people, of your managers, or one of your managers above you goes to your people. Start with small challenges. Pick something to improve. One issue, usually the lowest hanging fruit, whether it's clear communication or structured meetings or less structured meetings or whatever the case may be, less meetings. Work on those small challenges. Model the behavior that you want to see. As a leader, we talked about leading by example. So you have to demonstrate trust by being trustworthy. You have to ask for accountability or solicit accountability by being accountable, and show high levels of communication, which will create open dialogue. So team dysfunction isn't permanent, though. I mean, it sounds like it's a bad thing. It's challenging, but it's not horrible. It's fixable with the right approach. By fostering trust, improving communication, and setting clear expectations, you can transform that team into a high-performing unit. You even, as I noted earlier, foster healthy conflict. This is all with oversight to encourage idea generation, having a more empathetic teamwork, and building stronger bonds amongst your team. So that's a wrap for today. If you found today's episode helpful, Please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and make sure you leave a review. If you'd like more information on how to engage with me directly, head over to the website kalinavision.com, spelled K-A-L-Y-N as in Nancy A, vision.com, kalinavision.com, and catch us on YouTube at Beyond the Glare to learn more and see how we can help you and your team remove obstacles and address challenges, enabling your team and organization to run like a well-built machine. Thank you for listening, and everyone have a great day.